Well, hello, my name is Matt Edmondson and you are listening to the eCommerce podcast. I've been in e-commerce since 2002 and these days I partner with e-com brands to help them grow, scale and exit. And if you'd like to know more about that, just head over to the website ecommercepodcast.net. And if this is your first time listening, come follow me on LinkedIn. It'd be great to connect. In fact, if it's not your first time listening and we're still not connected on LinkedIn, come find me. It's a great place. Just get over to LinkedIn, search Matt Edmondson, and you'll find me there. Now, that's enough about me. Let's talk about Paul Chambers, the legend who is on our show today, all the way from the other side of the ocean. Paul, it's great to have you, man. I've been looking forward to this because well, let me just read out your bio here. It says that you are the co-founder of SubSummit, the world's largest conference exclusively, note the word, dedicated to direct-to-consumer subscription businesses. We're going to be diving into what might be the most misunderstood balancing act in subscription commerce today, retaining subscribers whilst creating a frictionless customer experience. Paul's smiling already. I wonder if we've all been a bit guilty. I love this. Have we all been a bit guilty of this at some point where we secretly hope customers forget about their subscription renewals to squeeze out an extra month of revenue? Yet Paul has built an entire movement around the opposite philosophy, creating so much value that customers never want to leave. Paul, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you.
Thanks so much, Matt. Thanks for having me. And that wild roller coaster of a ride introduction. Holy cow.
I've set the bar high. I've set it high.
Yeah. No pressure. You know, one, I'll give you a fun fact I don't think I've ever revealed before. I always like to reveal something new on different podcasts I do. I maintain the title of co-founder because I have it. It just doesn't behoove me to have any other title because the things I do change so much sometimes on a daily basis. My job around SubSummit is to, my main focus is to help build out content and find amazing speakers and bring amazing minds. But, I'm always just helping with operations, helping, Chris George is our CEO, helping him kind of guide us in the right direction, keeping an eye on the finances, whatever it may be. So when you shared that, I'm like, just don't give me a title. I don't want COO. I don't want president. I don't want CEO. I'm just here to clean up and keep things, run around with a net, catching things as they fall, putting them back, tidy up.
Yeah, it's I love that. I love that. And if you're a regular to the show, you'll recognize the name Chris George because Chris has been on. He's been on. I've spoken to Chris on quite a few occasions on the podcast, but it's good to have maybe the better half of the equation on the show.
Just the better face. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's got something going for me. Yeah. We complement each other well. We really do. And that's from a standpoint of just having different minds, different ways of looking at things. I've had a number of co-founders in my business journey, different businesses, different co-founders. And Chris is one of the better ones, and if not the best. And it's just because, our brains both click at a fast rate, but in just different ways and looking at different details. So works out.
Nah, cool, man. Cool. Legends, the pair of you. Before we get into it, let's just do a quick plug for SubSummit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on this year?
Yeah, so SubSummit, as you kind of aptly described in the beginning, is the event dedicated to the $3 trillion subscription membership and loyalty industry. So this is what we found in our decade of doing this now is more and more subscription and membership and loyalty especially are the core of most businesses. It's where that relationship starts and forms and really engages customers and creates a long-lasting relationship. So SubSummit is a place where brands come together to learn how they continue to scale their programs, continue how to invest in them. If they're not already doing something great, they learn how to grow it. We've got sessions, we've got an expo hall, we've got networking, we've got one-to-one business to supplier meetings. You name it, it's over the course of 2.5 days. Just a massive absorption of knowledge.
Yeah, it's a huge event. When you go, and I've been there, fortunate to have been there the last 2 years, going again this year, which I'm looking forward to. So if you are in SubSummit this year, come say how's it. I would love to meet you if we've not already met. And some great friendships actually have started there over the last few years. So I'm quite looking forward just to catching up with folks and seeing what crazy things happen.
Cool program too, where brands can get there for little to no investment. You can get a free ticket and $750 in travel and hotel reimbursement through our hosted program, which I'm sure we can talk about later. But it's just a great frictionless way to get people to the event and to learn and grow.
Yeah, when Chris mentioned this the first time that you guys were doing this, I thought that's actually. I'm used to going to shows in the UK where I think budgets are different. Paul, I'm not going to lie. I think the budgets are very different on occasions. And so when I heard that you guys were paying or offering free tickets and subsidized travel to go to the show, I'm like, you've obviously figured out a way to make that work for you guys. And I think that's really, really clever.
Yeah.
Really clever. So yeah, if you're listening and you want to go to SubSummit, do check. Where would they go to find out more about that?
The good starting point is always the website, subsummit.com. And from there, you can click on the tickets button, get more details on that program if you're interested.
Yeah.
If you're interested in sponsoring, there's a link to that. Can show you, venue. Everything's right there from the homepage and lots of great details.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's get into it. What made you, I mean, I have here a very long list of your history, Paul. I went to Perplexity. Do you use Perplexity, by the way?
I haven't. No.
Perplexity.ai. It's AI meets Google search. It's really clever, and they've got this. Yeah, they've got this new feature called Deep Dive, I think, or Deep something or other. And so I clicked that link, and it's where it just spends quite a bit of time doing some research. And I said, tell me a bit about Paul Chambers.
Yeah. Did it label me as a jazz musician? Because there is a famous Paul Chambers jazz musician.
No, not at all. The things that I learned about you that I didn't know were, I mean, obviously I know your connection with the subscription commerce industry, but where was it? You had a company, Gentleman's Box. You exited that. You joined forces with Chris. You've got Subta, which is a subscription trade association. You co-founded that. Now we've got SubSummit, which you're involved with. And then there was some other, what did it come up with? I thought it was phenomenal. I wanted to check to see if it was true. That was my thing. Well,
let me tell you this while you're checking your notes. I built my first e-commerce website.
5th grade.
Well, I started selling in the back coat room in 5th grade, but I built my first actual e-commerce website. I think it was 1997.
Wow.
It was for a company in Detroit here on Woodward Avenue called Nathan Camera Shop. It was this guy who had a little camera shop on Woodward Avenue, and he had so much inventory. He heard about this internet thing, and he wanted to start selling his cameras and his spare parts online. And the hand coding of everything back in that day was remarkable compared to what we have today.
Yeah.
The whole inventory system sync up with this point of sale system.
So is it still going? Is he still online?
No, he eventually retired and shut down his shop, didn't really sell it off or do anything with it. But, this being the e-commerce, an e-commerce focused podcast, just thought that'd be a fun little tidbit to share.
Yeah. Well, it's earlier than me. I was 2002. So you definitely beat me by 4 years.
And not saying you might have had a better, 2002 might have been a much better website compared to my 1997.
No.
Yeah. It certainly has grown over the years, but that's, my history, my background. I've had a marketing website agency that I've had for 25 plus years now.
Yeah.
That's been the catalyst for kind of spinning everything off. And that's what I'm doing. My main focus and time goes towards SubSummit nowadays, but,
tell me about, and this is if it's true, right? I'm curious to check this out. The popcorn franchise location in Metro Detroit and the Capri Pizza in Southfield, Michigan.
Yeah. In 2004, stumbled across a newspaper article about Isaiah Thomas rolling out a chain of gourmet popcorn stores. Isaiah Thomas is a former Detroit Piston and NBA All-Star and, admirable in the eyes of many basketball fans across the world, but a lot, especially in Detroit here. And so I was like, well, that sounds interesting. I better look into that some more. Long story short, ended up becoming a franchise in the popcorn chain, Dale and Thomas Popcorn, and opened up to, at one point I had 5 stores around Metro Detroit, retail stores. There was an online part to it as well, but as a franchisor relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So actually one of the important things that I worked with them to help learn and grow about is how you do online sales, but contribute that back to franchisees in the system. Grew that nicely. Ultimately, 2008 came along, ended up really affecting the business and hurting it. And when most disposable income went away for people, they stopped buying gourmet popcorn as well. But it was definitely an interesting adventure and certainly learned a lot about retail. That led the foray decades later into buying a distressed pizza shop here in Metro Detroit. And that's where, my branding marketing agency comes along, and we did almost like a bar rescue type situation with it, where it was really distressed, needed new life breathed into it, did like a really just paint and touch up makeover on it, put new branding to it, and really elevated it. Unfortunately, our operating partner as part of that business ended up leaving, and we ended up finding a new happy home to run that pizza shop for us.
Right.
But retail is one of those businesses that I have a love-hate relationship with, where I love having a business on Main Street and connecting with people. And, you get such fast, instant insights into the minds of people. One of the craziest things I learned in my gourmet popcorn store was when I would be low on an item on the shelf, if there's just one thing left on the shelf, it would sit for weeks untouched. As soon as I would load another item behind it, so there were two of that sitting on the shelf, sales would pick back up again. Crazy. And it's just like instant consumer psychology that you can't see oftentimes in the digital space. You start running heat maps and you look at it and you watch screen recordings and those kind of things. But it's just, when you're sitting there talking face to face with somebody, the upsell, we'd have a bet. You could get a bag of popcorn for this price, but $1 more, you get a bag and a half is what we'd call it. And it was so fun to experiment with the way I'd present it to people and the way I'd talk to people about it. And so, you take those things and you can apply them to online space, but it was like, for $1 more, only $1 more, you can get 50% more popcorn. You sure you don't want to do that?
Supersize me. Yeah.
And so it's always fun and fascinating to play with those kind of experiments. And then I take them and apply them to the websites we were building and stuff like that.
That's fascinating, man. Fascinating. I could talk about popcorn all day long, but I probably should. And the pizza shop is my daughter's idea of heaven. I feel. But let's get into subscription, right? Because obviously this is your bread and butter now, isn't it? This is where your genius lies. And I follow you on LinkedIn. We're in a WhatsApp group. I see some of the videos you post, which are very funny, I have to say, are great. And one of the things which has come out through that, one of the things I've learned from you guys is this traditional approach of making cancellation of subscriptions difficult, how that actually harms your subscription business in the long run. Do you want to comment on that?
Oh, gosh, I can't tell you the number of conversations I've had with brands where they've had that realization. And because, the position we're in, a lot of big brands come to us and want to chat about what's going on, how they can continue to improve. And the number of times I've heard from them where it's like, as soon as we change the cancellation process, as soon as we reduce the friction or allowed them to cancel much easier, we saw immediate uptick in our customer lifetime value and long-term retention. And I say immediate because you would see people would cancel and be like, and they'd want to come back later. That's the biggest challenge that we face in the industry of kind of that bad reputation that people get, that companies get from subscription or membership. They feel like, gosh, if I commit to this, I'm going to have a challenge in canceling, or two, I'm going to forget about it. And, we take the position that one, never hide the cancel button. Robbie Kelman Baxter, who you know as well.
She's great, Robbie. She's been on the show as well.
Yeah, she stood on the stage 2 years ago, made everybody hold their hand up and do a pledge to not hide the cancel button.
I remember
it's that important.
Yeah.
And, we see that time and time again when you give people the ability to pause, skip, find ways to make them more comfortable in their relationship with you as a brand. It immediately will show that the benefit to the business from that side. So we really focus on that. And then, the other challenge sometimes is a lot of companies will build subscription for the sake of building subscription and not give enough thought into like the real value to the customer at the end of the day. you see a lot of these membership programs popping up from different retailers or different online sales places that are building a membership program just to kind of maybe capture some additional revenue or engage their customers.
Yeah.
But it really has to be done right. And one of my favorite examples is Panera Bread. They're famous here in the United States for fast casual food and eateries. And when we talked to them, and they talked about this at SubSummit as well, so this isn't anything special or proprietary, they realized that just to really start at a low friction, easy point with the customer. That's that free loyalty program.
Yeah.
Bring them in, show them the benefits, build that relationship. And then over time, introduce them to other options. Hey, by the way, we have this sip club, which gives you unlimited coffee, gives you free delivery, gives you ongoing specials, and it's only $10 to $12 a month. And you're getting into this membership where it's creating tremendous value on top of the value you're already feeling from that retailer or that website. And so that's where, we talk a lot about building the right subscription program or membership program that's for your audience.
Yeah, no, I love that. Because I think the default, Paul, which we've mentioned on the show before, certainly in the UK, I think things are changing, but certainly with a lot of e-com sites, if e-com is their primary driver, right, the subscription thing is something that they add on because that's what Amazon did, with a subscribe and save, buy this and save 5% every month if you buy it on subscription. That then became the default model, subscribe and save. Right, including in some of my own e-com businesses, that's what we did, the whole subscribe and save thing. And I think if there's one thing that I've learned from you guys, other than don't hide the cancellation button, it's probably don't do subscribe and save. I think it has to be more than that. And so I love this example that you're talking about almost like a subscription funnel, isn't it? And at every level, you're increasing the value and taking people further and further in.
Yeah, and there's oh man, I wish we could talk about already. There's going to be a really fun announcement at SubSummit from a big brand about some cool stuff happening in this space here, what you just talked about. But you'll hear about it in just a few months. One of the things that I can talk about that I've really enjoyed is there's a brand that met at SubSummit last year called Bottomless. Have you heard of these guys or seen them yet? It's not what you think it would be. Bottomless created this scale for coffee companies that they'd put underneath their coffee grounds. And it would, when it would, you'd put it in a little container and it would get down to a certain level, it would recognize it. And then it would auto ship you your next bit of coffee that you need to refill that container. Absolutely brilliant. I've been talking about this for the longest time of the way, I've got a dog and, I've got dog food, but I also have like poop bags. How many were we using a day? The goal of the company should be to understand the customer's mindset and give them the replenishment exactly when they need it, right at the right time without worry or concern. So I actually got into Bottomless's dog food trial, and I have a scale that sits under our dog food container. And I will tell you, it works flawlessly. As soon as it's starting to get down, I see a shipment notification in my email, and just a couple days later, I have the next bag of dog food that's on my doorstep. The point of friction I would always have with Chewy, who, by the way, 70% of their revenue is auto ship. Chewy dog food, massive multi-million-dollar brand, 70% is subscribe and save, is auto ship. The friction point I would always have with them, I love them to death because their customer service is amazing, their products are amazing, like things they're doing are great, but it always show up like a week too early or a week too late, or, I'd be worried like, oh shoot, the dog food's getting low. Is it going to show up on time? And so, it's about understanding what the customer needs right at the right time. Bottomless, one of the challenges with it is you got to have like this scale and we got to set it out. It needs to be near an outlet. And so I think there's some things to be worked through on that.
Yeah.
But that idea and that mentality of how you can meet the customer at that right point, I'll never why would I ever cancel that? Unless my dog stops eating that food, it's just going to keep coming.
It's fascinating. As you're talking, I'm thinking about something that Amazon did a few years ago, but it never really seems to. I don't know if it's taken off or whether I just don't see it anymore. Was you could buy little buttons that when you were running low, you would just push them and it would just sort of turn up.
I don't know. I remember that too. I forget what it was called. But I missed that, and I never tried it because it was before I really got into this space. It was a while ago. They stopped those, and I don't know why. I think they probably realized maybe subscribe and save was better. They had to maintain the buttons. Who knows? Do you know why they stopped that?
I've no idea. I've forgotten about it. I will find out because I'm intrigued as to why that. I wonder. Sometimes I think technology is too early.
True.
And I just wonder whether that was too early. And let's run. One of the things that I'm thinking about as you're talking, I'm like, I love this idea of the scales, because the scales actually they're quite easy to produce once you've got the technology. They're not going to be a high barrier to entry. It's kind of like the Nespresso thing, isn't it? Where you buy the machine for next to no money, really, and the money's in the pods, right?
Well, that's exactly like what I'm saying. One of my things I'm saying, the Bottomless is just providing they're the conduit for all these things. But if you find somebody that can create an attractive dog food container, because the one I have in my kitchen is not good looking, but an attractive dog food container, like that in itself is a product. And now you give them that for free or whatever you want to charge for a small amount of money. And now they're getting your dog food nonstop and very rarely going to cancel, right?
Yeah. No, fascinating. Listen, if you're listening to this conversation that Paul and I are having and you're enjoying it, well, why not come join my little free membership? Did you like how I did that there, Paul? It's called Cohort. We have a cohort in New Zealand, Australia. We have just started a brand new one in the UK. We've got another one now going in the UK. This is where we just jump on Zoom once a month and have catch-up calls, and we just chat about e-commerce and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to know more, just check out the website, ecommercepodcast.net. Paul, I'm curious, right? If you were in because I know that there are a lot of pure subscription businesses, right? I think of our friend John Roman and BattleBox and the cool stuff he's doing there, and you kind of go, this is really fabulous, But a lot of people listening to the show will have e-commerce businesses. How do you see those two things colliding and mixing?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I mentioned earlier and talked about membership programs and loyalty programs, and that's where it's a lot of what we talk about at SubSummit as well. It's not just subscription and pure play where you think subscribe and save, or you think subscription boxes or things like that. Membership programs are a really big part of that. And that's where, we see a lot of retailers doing and trying different things, and some are successful and some are not so successful. 3 brands that come to mind. One, Obvi. Obvi's played with their membership program for a lot of different ways, a lot of different times. They're a collagen product here in the States. And they've been successful with it in introducing different things along the way. They do, if you're a member, you have free shipping. You're going to get access to products early and special discounts. And they followed a similar model to True Classic, which is a great clothing brand.
Yeah.
Done very similar things. I've seen True Classic play with their membership programs over time, and find different ways to do it and offer different benefits. Some will do, just $25 annually, and some will do $400 annually. I think I haven't gotten any feedback on which price point works the best. I think it all depends on your market and what you're offering, because I don't think there is a true perfect price point for any of this. It all depends on your brand. The other brand that comes to mind, which is a really good reference point, is Uncommon Goods. I joined their membership program because I want free shipping on it. So it's no different than Amazon Prime. You're going to join Amazon Prime for, the benefit, or Walmart Plus for the benefit of the free shipping, of the fast shipping, of the different things like that. So e-commerce retailers, if you find that your customers are coming back to you time and time again, introducing a membership program like that would be a phenomenal way to continue to engage your customers. And, if they know they already have that membership, like every holiday season comes around, and I'm like, oh, I should go look at Uncommon Goods because I know I get free shipping with them. That should be one of my first places to shop if I'm looking for unique gifts outside of Amazon or other places.
Yeah. I first heard about this concept from Jay Myers, who we both know. In fact, you were on Jay's podcast recently, weren't you? Which I'll come to in just a second.
Jay came on my podcast recently, actually.
Oh, he came on your podcast.
A quick 10-minute interview. What are you doing? I
saw your post and stuff on LinkedIn about it. And Jay's a legend from Bold Commerce, and I heard he did a talk at SubSummit about memberships, and using this, the psychology of the sunk cost fallacy. So I've paid whatever it is, $80 for my Amazon Prime membership. So even though it might not be cheaper on Amazon Prime, I've paid this membership, so I'm going to use it, and that, and how in some respects, memberships can be more valuable than subscription, was what he said, depending on, I guess, how you separate the definitions. But this idea of introducing a membership for your e-com site, I think is totally true. I think it's totally right. I think in the UK, it's funny listening to you talk about free shipping, because I think free shipping is important, but in the UK, shipping is a lot less. The fees are a lot less because it's a much smaller country, Paul, and things get around much quicker. Everything's overnight, right? And so, but I think we played around with a membership where you got free shipping with a beauty company we had here in the UK. It was okay. I think we needed to do more than just that to add value from the shipping point of view.
I mean, look at that's the thing that to think about. Free shipping is one element of a program like that can be successful. I always say, and I should stop saying it because they've been raising the prices lately, like Amazon doesn't charge me enough. I get so much value from it. And same thing from Walmart Plus. Like Jeff Bezos watches me talk somewhere. And
Yeah.
Where's that price?
Paul's not paying enough.
Yeah, I'd be
AI's listening in. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'd be willing to pay more if it's because of Jeff listening to me.
Because he needs more money.
Yeah, I know. But, to that point, so they keep layering in more and more offerings. And one of the things they just did recently too, they introduced Alexa Plus, which is this new AI agent built into Alexa that you can buy standalone for $19.99 a month. But if you have Amazon Prime, it's included. You're like, well, that's a no-brainer. Why don't I just, get Amazon Prime if I'm one of the few people on this planet that doesn't have it already.
Yeah.
Walmart Plus does great with this. They layer in, you get a Paramount Plus subscription, you get discounts on gas at the pump at Walmart stores. And, if you're an e-commerce store and sitting here listening, like, well, I'm not Amazon or Walmart. I can't go out and make a deal with Paramount Plus and I can't do this. Then find ways you can add value.
Yeah.
Is it a complimentary e-commerce website where you could partner up and put your memberships together under a bundled membership, where as a member here, you're going to get access here. Sure, you can talk about share of wallet and things like that. But, the idea is to look at unique and creative ways, understanding your audience and adding value. The more you can add value, the more likely they are to come back and stay loyal to you as a brand, thus increasing your overall value. And if you're looking to sell it someday or do more with it, then it's only going to work out for you.
No, it's so true. And value, just again to reiterate from what you're saying, Paul, and because this is something you guys have hammered quite rightly, value is not discount. Value is a whole bunch of other things. Having a really fascinating conversation with my family on the family WhatsApp group the other day, because within like 3 days, I get an email from Netflix and I get an email from Disney Plus, both of which I'm subscribed to, both of which are subscription services. Netflix has put up their prices massively, as have Disney Plus. And so I'm like, well, neither of you are really giving me any increased value. You're just charging me more money. There's a few shows I like, but there's always a few shows that I like. It's not like a die-hard show. Like Amazon have done well, I think, with the Reacher series, but that's just me. It's a personal thing. But I think, so the conversation in the WhatsApp group now, and this is not an affordability thing. I just want to if you want to pay for my Netflix subscription, if anyone's listening, feel the freedom. I'm not going to stop you. It's not an affordability thing. But it is I'm really annoyed thing. And so now in the WhatsApp, we've got this family poll thing going on, well, which one do we cancel, guys?
Yeah. And, we're seeing that more and more in the marketplace as the streamers continue to rise prices. And, I think they're going to find there's an upper limit that they can go to. And I almost wonder, like, are they testing it? Do they have data that suggests it? I mean, it could be all the above. But, we had Truebill on our stage a number of years ago at SubSummit. And Truebill is the app and now it's called Rocket Money, the app that's out there screaming from the rooftop, download this app so you can cancel your unwanted subscriptions. And they get into your credit cards and they see like you're using this, then we'll cancel it for you and all that stuff. But one of the things that Haroon, the founder of Truebill, said on stage and shared on stage was we finally, and this is like 2 years ago, hit the threshold where the number of subscriptions people are adding kind of crossed with the cancellations. Basically kind of found what that upper limit is on number of subscriptions people will keep. Now, over time, as things like this happen, I'm like you. I have Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon, all the streamers, just because whatever makes my kids happy. But I'm at that same point now saying, if we're not watching Netflix as much, why are we continuing to pay for it every month? And I think some of this is being combated or helped, I should say, by bundling. We're seeing more and more bundling where like you can get Netflix, you really like Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN are together and different things like that. Yeah, they're gonna price themselves out, but then it just becomes a numbers game. Are you capturing more revenue from those subscribers that stay?
Yeah.
Be interesting.
No, well, they definitely don't care about it a lot of me, but I do think it's interesting the mindset that I'm in now, where I'm like that. I feel like I've got enough subscriptions, man. I'm really guarded about which ones I take on, and I'm quite happy to get rid of a few of them now.
I don't know if you're worried about my hesitancy used to be for canceling, let's say something like Netflix was like, oh man, then all my episodes I was midstream on or recommendations, when I go to sign back up again, those will be gone and lost. I'm going to cancel Netflix soon, I think, to look at the flow and see what happens there. Yeah. Because that's a hesitancy in my mind. Like, oh gosh, I got to rebuild the profiles. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good to start fresh. Cause what's super interesting. There's a tweet out there from me somewhere that vowed I would never go back to Netflix. I was like, this is it. I'm done. I'm tearing it up. And it was when they first raised their prices and rolled their DVD out separate from their streaming. And that's how long ago this was. But I was like, this company's done. They're toast. I ate my words on that and I went back to it. But it was because, again, they just, there's content, there's value and things like that. Well, at some point I might be the same. To be fair, I think we're going to cancel Disney Plus because I think the output of Disney Plus has been useless the last year. Once you've watched the Marvel movies and there's nothing else really to watch. Well, there was that Shogun TV show, but I think I think that at some point the value may well increase past the price, but at the moment it isn't. And this is just to your point, isn't it? With our e-com sites, with our subscriptions, with our memberships, the value has got to far outweigh the price. And I think I heard at SubSummit, again, it may be Jay that says actually the value has to be at least 3 times the price or 3 times the perceived price. Or no, the perceived value has to be 3 times the cost of whatever it is they're buying. Yeah. He's done a lot of Jay. By the way, I've had to kick Jay off the stage so many times because he's like, he'll go up in a good way. He'll go up and he'll give a talk and then he'll get so many questions because he's delivering so much value and knowledge to a room where people just have to they have so many more questions of what he's talking about. But the fascinating thing is, he's right in that number. There's a talk he gave in Orlando in 2022. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was the subscription death curve and talked about, just kind of that point of where if you're not providing new value and giving people things to talk about and talk to others, then you're going to plateau. Yeah, so true. Yeah, I just want to download Jay's brain.
just download that into AI. That would be a whole LLM in itself.
There we go.
Well, let's give it a try, Jay. If you're up for it, let's do it, man. I'm sure Musk has got some kind of chip we can borrow that would allow us to.
Think about Jay. He's Canadian. He's so nice. He would, of course, say yes. They're so nice. Canadian. Like, yeah, sure. No, that sounds great.
Oh, gotta love the Canadians. The part of the empire, Anyway, let's not go there.
Which one? Are we going to have them soon or are you keeping them?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's talk to Donald, see what he says.
Right. I'll look at Donald.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I know you've given some examples of sites that you're really liking at the moment, but thinking about where it's all going, and you're going to talk a lot about this at SubSummit, I know, but where it's all going, 2025, 26, what are some of the things that you're seeing that you find the most promising for the sort of foreseeable future of subscription commerce?
Yeah. When we look at, what's promising is a lot of brands we're talking to are looking at bundling options. How are they coming together to help give more to the customers? So we're seeing a lot of promise there. We talked about earlier about easing the cancellation flow and seeing a lot of promise there. It's in the other part, the ecosystem's continuing to grow and expand. Shopify, for better or for worse, sometimes I get a little frustrated with Shopify's kind of hold on their ecosystem. But they're building a great product. They're leaning into subscription. And so from that, one of the really promising things we're seeing is more and more apps are being developed, more partners, which creates more opportunity. When we launched Gentleman's Box, we built it on WooCommerce, and there was a subscription add-on at the time, and we had to hack the crap out of that to get it to work the way we wanted it to work. And at the time, Cratejoy was just spinning up, and Recharge was just an idea in Oshin's and his partners' heads. And since then, obviously, more and more, you've got Stay, you've got Lube, you've got Yotpo got into it for a hot minute, but they realized that they want to focus on their core, ChargeBee and Recharge and Bold. And so there's so many great options out there for focusing on recurring billing, and then the things they add and layer in there. So, this investment from Shopify of lightly dipping their toes into native subscription and what they're seeing there is creating more and more opportunity on top of that. So it's easier than ever to build this out. But again, I just continue to encourage these businesses, just make sure you're doing it right. Taking some time and focusing on how you build out the program and everything behind it. We talked earlier about subscribe and save. And one of the things I want to kind of loop back around to is if you can find a way to ask customers questions that will make it less frictionless for them, then that'll be a better off experience as a whole. So the example I provide from time to time, and I started to get into here, was dog poop bags, for lack of a better term. If you know you're going to be using these bags twice a day, you take your dog on 2 walks and you're using twice a day. If the brand that's selling those were to ask me that question, like, how often do you use these refuse bags for your dog? Okay, we notice you're using them 3 times a day and we sell this many. Our default shipment's going to be this often for you. So really just kind of easing the customer's minds from the get-go, seeing things like that of better ways to connect with customers, whether it be like I talked about earlier, the Panera $0 loyalty as a starting point, or asking questions to get to answers. Those are where we're seeing success.
That's really cool. And it comes old school principles. Just talk to your customers, right? Figure out what it is they want and figure out a really easy way for them to get it. I mean, it's not rocket science, but sometimes I think we overcomplicate it.
Yeah. And look, in fairness, I'm a business owner, operator. If you're in the weeds, sometimes it's hard to see, out beyond them. You're in the day to day, you're doing things. And you think you built what people want. And sometimes you just have to encourage ourselves. And that's why people listen to content like this, because they want to maybe get the opportunity to think outside the box or think, work on the business, not in the business. And so, just taking a step back and not being too hypercritical of yourself, like, man, I failed. I didn't think about this. It's just, this is an opportunity to open your mind up to look at it in other ways. Yeah.
Fantastic. If you've been enjoying this and you've made it this far and you haven't already done so, why not sign up to the newsletter called eCommerce? That's the newsletter we send out every single week. We're going to feature all the links to Paul, all the tidbits that he's shared in here, and probably add 1 or 2 extra bits in there as well. So do come and check it out. Paul, listen, man, it's always wonderful to talk to you. It always feels like it was just yesterday, but it wasn't. It was probably at SubSummit, to be fair, when you handed me some very delicious e-commerce podcast socks.
Yay! Hopefully, you didn't eat them.
Yeah, no. I just thought they just looked amazing. You handed me these branded e-commerce podcast socks, which I thought was great.
Yeah, it's fun. That's where I dip my toes in the water from time to time. One of the brands we support is Custom Sock Shop. My agency supports, and I've worked with them for a decade, and so they're great partners of ours, and friends of ours, and I kind of lend my knowledge to them on the side here and there because it's fun to kind of stay in tune with things and keep in it. And so, Custom Sock Shop, I give them all the credit. They made those awesome socks for you. And
they did.
Designed them. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I've given the link to that shop that does the socks to many, many people. Go there and buy some really funky socks, because this is such a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a good group. They're based out of Detroit here. They manufacture them here. They have some overseas manufacturing as well, but just a good family operation, and they do good work and they care.
Fantastic. Paul, listen, how do people reach you? How do they contact you if they want to do that?
LinkedIn is a great place to find me. So just search for Paul Chambers and look for my beautiful headshot that you might see on the podcast here. And then, I'm active on X, formerly known as Twitter, x.com/Paul Chambers. And then, you can always email me, paul@subsummit.com, and always happy to help. The better one, if you email info@subsummit or let's talk at subsummit.com, there are multiple people that check that. So you get a much faster answer than
I say that to people all the time. Yeah, you can have my email if you like, but you really don't want it. You really want this person in the team's email because they're going to be much more helpful.
Actually, if you email the team, it gets to me faster oftentimes. It really does. Like, I'm trying to reach Paul, and then Lauren comes over to my desk and starts pounding.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Paul, listen, thank you so much, man. And just to plug SubSummit, I will be there. If you want to find out more about it, go to subsummit.com. We will, of course, link to that website. We will link to Paul's LinkedIn, to his Twitter, no, not Twitter, X. We'll put all of those in the show notes as well, which you can just scroll down in your podcast app, or you can head over to the website, ecommercepodcast.net. So, Paul, listen, I like to save the best till last. I should have told you this before we hit record, right? Okay. But I completely forgot. So for those people that have made it this far, that haven't quit listening to the show, we've started throwing this thing called Save the Best till Last in there. So my question, after decades in the subscription business and selling successful companies and helping countless entrepreneurs through SubSummit, what's the one counterintuitive piece of advice that you would offer e-commerce entrepreneurs that has consistently proven true for you, yet most business owners struggle to accept or implement? I appreciate that's the world's longest question.
So, oh man, there's a variety of things that come to mind on that. The thing that I've found is best is to oftentimes second guess what I think is right. The piece of advice I got from an entrepreneur one time, and I'll make it a little more PG, is sometimes you have to look in the mirror and don't believe your own BS.
Yeah, so true.
I was sitting across from him at a table and saying, like, I think this can work and I want to make it work. And he was a truly successful entrepreneur I really admired. Also sold me a bad business at the time. And, his choice advice when I asked him for my hundreds of thousands of dollars back was sometimes you got to look in the mirror and not believe your own BS. And it was true. The number of times I've had to stop and be like, okay, am I trying to talk myself into this? And where this applies to the e-commerce business is if you're an operator, if you're a marketer, no matter what your role is, if something's not working, you're sitting there like just beating your head against the wall, trying to say like, I know this should work. Maybe it isn't work. Maybe you need to take a step back and reevaluate and take a look at it, find better ways, more efficient. We're constantly finding ways to be more efficient in what we do. We've run events for 10 years. We're still like every single day, finding ways like, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do this? So, I think that's really some of the best advice I ever received.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that, because you're right, just banging your head against a brick wall. Was it Einstein that said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results, or something like that?
Getting the same result. Like, okay, well, you're the same, and expecting something different to happen. Yeah, like it's drive you insane.
Yeah, it will. Absolutely. I butchered the quote, but you get what I mean. It's that whole insanity thing. Just stop doing the same thing. The results won't change if you do the same thing. And there was that other phrase, is it Marshall, what's her face? What got you here won't get you there. Have you read that book? It's a great book. Yeah, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. It's a really interesting title. Marshall, I can't remember his name now. It'll come back to me as soon as I hit the stop record button.
I'll find it out. I'll type those first words and the word Marshall and Amazon. It'll find it for me.
Yeah, well, just tell AI. There should be a button. Just push the button and the book will turn up tomorrow. Amazon's Jeff's listening. Jeff, send him a complimentary copy.
That's my ad that's coming next. On my phone here. 100% that's happening. They aren't listening. Don't lie to me. You're listening.
You'll be amazed what might happen. But listen, Paul, awesome. Thank you so much, my friend. It's been an absolute treat.
An honor. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Wow, that's it from me. That's it from Paul. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I will see you next time. Bye for now.